It's a great blessing to have you with us here on this Monday, and I trust that God gave you a wonderful Lord's Day yesterday, and the Lord really blessed here. I'm so thankful for His goodness week after week after week. I'd like to look at Acts chapter 19. Here we see the exciting work in the major city of Ephesus. The Apostle Paul was used mightily of God there. And as this great move of God went forward, so did a great pushback come from Satan through those especially that were involved in idol worship and in sorcery. This was a place in which there was a lot of demonic worship. And as the situation worsened, it looked like there was going to be a real catastrophe. Now, before I get into that, let me just give this warning. We often pray for revival with the mistaken idea that revival is going to solve our problems. Revival is just going to cause everybody to be at peace with us, and it's going to just be great. Well, revival's glorious, what it does for the church, what it does for winning many people to Christ, for the testimony of the Lord to go forward, but oftentimes it will bring great persecution, just like we find here in Acts chapter 19. And so as all of this was going on, a large crowd gathered in the great theater there. I've been there before, a huge amphitheater, and it was filled up, and they were crying out, "Great is Diana of the Ephesians." And for a little bit of time, it seemed as though it could be disastrous for the believers there in Ephesus. But God not only uses saved people, but He uses unsaved people to accomplish His purpose. Throughout history, you see that. People will step in on behalf of Christians who are not saved. You see that in the Word of God, as you have emperors turn and actually benefit believers like Cyrus the Great, sending Israel back to the land, listening to the prompting of God in his heart. Well, here we find that the town clerk, to preserve order, was used of God to protect the Christians. And he appeased the people, and he told them we should do nothing rashly. This starts in verse 35 and goes on, and throughout. And he says, if we are seen by Rome as doing this, we're going to be called into question. And so he caused the whole assembly to stop. And we read in verse 41, and when he had thus spoken, he dismissed the assembly. And the reaction was over with. Folks, as we look at our country today, as we look at our communities, as we look at many different situations, God can deliver at any point He wants to. If He allows pushback to come, we need to take that, use it for God's glory, stand for the Lord, proclaim truth. If it gets difficult, God will use it for His furtherance, the furtherance of His work. But if it gets really bad, He can even use unsaved people, as He's done over and over, to protect the work of God. That can happen in families. That can happen on the job. It can happen in so many different places. So let's rejoice that God knows what He's doing, and God can meet our needs any way that He wants to do it.